Hi, this is Mrs. Bustamante. Today we're going to talk about fermentation, really going to sum up everything that we've done so far and talked about it. So remember, fermentation is an anaerobic process. That means that it does not require oxygen, which is really important when we're talking about making ATP for the cell. And we're still going to start out with the process of glycolysis, which, if you recall, will happen in the cytoplasm of the cell, that jelly-like stuff, not inside any small organelle, if you will. And the process of glycolysis makes two pyruvic acid molecules, it makes two ATP molecules, and it makes two NADH molecules. If we have oxygen present in the cell, and then we can go on to our Krebs cycle and our electron transport chain, and the cell can make tons of ATP. But if there's not oxygen present, we have to go through a different process. And the process that a cell undergoes is fermentation. Fermentation, unlike the Krebs cycle and the electron transport chain, happens in the cytoplasm of the cell. You can kind of think of it like, oh, it's sort of next to where glycolysis happens. Which is a good thing because they're going to circle back and forth. And there are two types of fermentation. The first type we're going to talk about is alcoholic fermentation. And it produces two molecules of NAD+, two molecules of carbon dioxide, and two alcohol molecules of some kind. This type of fermentation is really common in yeast. It also happens in fruit, right? The other type of fermentation that can occur is lactic acid fermentation. And this type of fermentation typically occurs in cells of like muscle type cells. It also makes two molecules of NAD+, and it makes a molecule called lactic acid. Now, why do we care about these molecules? Because none of them are ATP. Why do they matter for the cell, right? Well, here's the main thing that we get from fermentation. We get molecules of NAD+, which are important because they can actually be used in glycolysis. If you think back, remember these were two things that were part of our reactants in the process of glycolysis. So basically what it does is it gives the cell these NAD+ molecules in order to go on and make some more pyruvic acid and just a little bit more of ATP. It's also shorter, right? So it can happen pretty quickly, but it's not making a ton of ATP like we would if we had oxygen present.